Hello and welcome to Kel Knits. My name is Kelly and I'm a knitter living in Sydney, Australia. And this is my YouTube channel where I take a little bit of time out of my day to chat all about my knitting and projects and what I'm working on. Before I get started, I would like to acknowledge the Camaragal people because this is their land where I am filming from here today, and just pay my respects to their elders, both past, present, future and emerging. If you are new to my channel, you are very welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. This may be a very short episode, we'll see, but I realized if I didn't film today, and if I didn't take this small window of opportunity, then I don't know, it could be a while until I would be able to come back again, because we're all in kind of the silly season at the moment, and things are busy, and I'm sure most people can relate to that. I have a couple of finished objects and a work in progress, but we'll probably get through it all pretty quickly. So let's get into it and chat all about our knitting. First finished object is not really finished, to be honest, and that's what I'm wearing, which is my Carlatea by Nodecker, who is Pippin Pin on Instagram and Ravelry and all of that. I don't think it's really finished because I think I need to add a little bit of length to the bottom. So it's just this afternoon, I just picked it up when I got home, had a little feel to make sure it wasn't still wet. I've just finished blocking it and put it on, and it sits really nicely like this, but I'm not going to stand up because I just think it needs a little bit more length. I'm sure lots of people can relate to this, where when you're working on the body and you're so close to finishing a project, sometimes you think, yeah, that'll do, that's good enough. And sometimes it's not. I really should have made it a little bit longer because I'm not really a massive fan of super cropped tops. I don't tend to gravitate towards those in my wardrobe, so I want to if I'm going to be making my own clothing, I want it to be the kind of clothing that I want to wear every day. In terms of this project, I really enjoyed making it. I really like this kind of interest up the top of this lace, and yeah, it was quite fun. There's a little bit of shaping throughout the waist to trim it in a little bit, and you had options to even add an elastic waistband and do the finishing on the arms as I think is an I-cord edging, but I did some ribbing. And actually that was one of the other reasons why I thought maybe I wasn't finished. I bound off the sleeves using Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, which I quite like when you need a very stretchy bind off. But one of the things I've done before, and I think it might be on Andrea Mowry's tutorial for how to do the bind off, is that she actually does it back to front, inside out. I guess inside out would be the right way to describe how she does it, so that the edging that you see actually looks a little bit neater and tidier. And I forgot about that when I did the sleeves, and when I finished them, they do. Now that I've just thrown this on, I haven't really looked. I was hoping blocking might help it out a little bit, so I'll have to decide. But I did think I might need to do that bind off again, because I did the bind off for the body back to front, and it does look a lot neater. So I might need to add a little bit of length and finish some of these bind offs, and then trim some of these, little bits of string hanging everywhere as well. But otherwise I'm really happy with it. I love this yarn. This is the through Valborg Merino yak in the colorway Petrol. I think that's what it is. I will write on the screen if I've gotten any of that wrong though. But it's really lovely and light, and I mentioned in my last podcast about how I wasn't alternating skeins, and I was a little bit worried that might mean that I might have some weird pooling, but that hasn't happened at all. I think it looks really nice. I probably should have knit a size bigger so that it was there was a little bit more positive ease. And that's going to be the theme for today, because that's when I talk about my whip. I will talk about that a little bit more, but I haven't checked my gauge. It could be that my gauge was off, but you know, to be honest, I've just gotten a little bit bigger in the last couple of months. You know, life's busy and there's been too much eating and drinking, not enough moving. So, you know, that's what happens. So it could be that that's the factor, that when I was thinking about what size I needed, but now what size I actually need are maybe two different things. But actually before I blocked it, it was a little bit tighter, and I can feel already that it's loosened a little bit. So I think that that's okay. I think I will get away with that for this project. I'm not going to get away with it for for the whip that I will talk about in a minute. So that's my Carlatea by Megan Nodecker. My other finished object is another Sophie scarf by Petite Knit. This is the second one of these that I've knit. I knit my first one a little while ago, and I knit the larger size and made it extra long, so it wrapped around a couple of times. Whereas this version I did is just the small size, so that it just goes around the neck once. The reason I made this is because it is a excellent, straightforward, simple project that looks really, I think, really lovely and clean and neat. And I had to travel to Singapore for work a couple of weeks ago, and the flight from Sydney to Singapore is around about 8 hours, and I had a day flight, which means I had the opportunity to basically sit on my bottom, watch movies on the plane and knit. And I thought, I'm gonna see if I can do a Sophie scarf during that flight, and I did. I cast on at the airport and I bound off about 15 minutes before landing. So, you know, that in itself was kind of a fun little experiment to see how long it took me to make one of these. Obviously I didn't knit continuously for 8 hours. I did take occasional breaks, but I knit on it pretty solidly. So I guess that's about how long it takes me to knit a Sophie scarf. My intention with this as well is to gift it to my friend whose birthday is coming up next week. When I knit the first version of the Sophie scarf that I made, I don't know what it was, but I just always had her in the back of my mind. I had this idea of a brown Sophie scarf that I thought she would look really good in. So now I've made it, and I've used Filcolana Arwetta in the colorway, I think it's deep mahogany, and I held that double, and it's great. So I know that some people, there were some comments with this pattern. I remember when it was released that like, oh, it's so simple. I could just make this up and knit it. But I was kindly gifted the pattern actually from the lovely, the Knitty Stew. And I've gotten a lot of use out of it by knitting it twice. So I do really recommend this pattern. It's a great knit, and it's really lovely and mindless. So yeah, that's my other finished object. That's it for finished objects. On to whips, and hang on, here it is. I've been knitting the Feldspar tee by Hanna Lübben, who is Herb Garden Knitwear. And here it is here. And I've been really, really enjoying this pattern because it's knit from the bottom up. And if you can see that there are some little eyelet rows at the beginning, and then you are knitting the rest of the body, putting in occasional pearl ridges every so many rows, which means, you know, it just keeps you interested. You kind of want to knit to the next pearl ridge and keeps you going. And I've gotten all of this done, and I'm ready to split front and back so that I can do the around the chest. And again, I've just chosen the wrong size. It fits, like it's fine. I kind of was thinking, oh yeah, no, that's fine, this fits. And then I realized this is meant to be a really boxy kind of, not oversized, but you know, with a generous amount of positive ease. this top, and so it's just not going to work. And I thought about it last night and said to myself, it's so tempting, I think, when you've done so much knitting, just to think, oh, it'll be fine. I'll stretch it out when I block it or something. But, you know, I'm knitting these to be practical items in my wardrobe, so they have to fit properly. So that's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to pull it all out and start again. That's okay. That's all right, because I enjoyed knitting this. I will enjoy continuing to knit it. And in the end, I'm going to have a piece of clothing that I really love. I'm also really happy with the yarn that I've been using, which is 100% cotton. And I've lost the ball band, which I thought I had next to me. But I will write the name of it down below so that you can see, but it feels really lovely. It's going to be great. So that's the Feldspar tee by Hanna Lübben, Herb Garden Knitwear, and this is what it looks like now, and soon it will be just a number of balls of yarn to be re-knit again. And you know what? This is going to be really good kind of Christmas holiday knitting, catching up with family, things like that, when I don't want to have to think particularly hard. This is going to be really good. So it's going to be worth it. It's fun. It's going to be great. Okay, that's all of the whips that I have. I was going to mention my next cast on, because I just received the yarn for it, which is that I'm planning to make an item from a project for my brother. He has a lovely round birthday coming up in February, and I offered to him to say, look, if you want, I will knit you something. What would you like? Please say no if you think you won't wear it. But no, he was really keen. So he wanted a cardigan, so I sent him a couple of different patterns, and he chose, I think it's called Unplugged by Hook Mountain Knitwear. And it's like a bit of a chunkier knit, which, you know, I prefer slightly knits on a smaller gauge, but this also means it'll not take me quite as long. So that's one I've just received the yarn that I ordered for it, which is this Concept Cotton Merino Tweed by Katia in here in the color 505. I don't know, it's like I don't know how to describe that. It's like a rusty color, but it has flecks of orange and dark brown, blue and pink through it. I think it's going to look really interesting, and it's I think it won't be as, do you call it like a bit of, I don't think it's a blown yarn. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's a bit fluffy, so it shouldn't be quite as heavy. It's not quite the right gauge for the pattern, but I'm hoping I can do some kind of dodgy maths and knit a size or two larger to compensate for that. Yeah, having just talked about how these last two tops that I've knit are too small, I maybe shouldn't trust myself on that. But you know what? I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to try. My brother's really tall and lean, so he would be needing a smaller size anyway. So I can, knitting a couple of sizes up is quite achievable. He's going to be over, he lives in another state. He's going to be over for the Christmas period. So whilst he's here, I will measure him up and hopefully get started with the intention to hopefully have it finished by his birthday in February. But you know what? It's not the end of the world if it takes a little bit longer than that. So I'm looking forward to casting this one on soon. The other thing I thought I would mention as well is my advent calendar that have just started opening. I didn't get a yarn advent. I mentioned, I think in my last podcast that I still have yarn from the advent calendar I got last year, and I haven't used it for anything yet. So I thought I don't want to get another yarn advent, but it is fun kind of opening up little surprises. So I got an embroidery advent calendar, which is this one here, the Stitching & Co. embroidery advent calendar. And I got the 12 days rather than the 24 because I thought that was probably enough. And it has every little bag is from a different embroidery artist. So I just think that's so much fun. It's been put together by Life with Bess, and this is here is the little booklet that it comes with, which goes through and has a page on each of the artists. And yeah, it's just a really lovely collation. And I've only opened up a couple of days so far, but I have received, look, these beautiful, really lovely kind of hand-dyed embroidery threads. I think, aren't they gorgeous? This is from Cottage Garden Threads in Gippsland, Australia, with a little hoop to use. I have a lovely Christmas pattern here. Another little kit for a small little, with a hook and all the bits and pieces to make this beautiful little picture as well, little embroidery kit. Yeah, it's great. I love the idea of kind of, it's all different embroidery artists, and yeah, I would like that, to see that as a yarn advent too. Wouldn't it be fun if it was like from all different dyers? And yeah, it would be really interesting. And I've got something more to show you, but I just realized I didn't put it next to me, so I'm gonna go grab it. My beautiful friend Daniela, who has just moved from the UK to Perth in Australia, sent me a lovely little package, and so I wanted to quickly share with you what she sent me too. It was just so unexpected and really generous and beautiful, and it really made my day. I've been really kind of busy and overwhelmed lately, so to get something like that in the post was really, really special. First, I have this incredibly gorgeous skein of yarn in the color Aged Rosewood, and it's Fiori, and it's a merino silk DK. Oh, and it just feels magnificent. I think that's, I don't know, I'm not sure, I have to think about what I'll make with this one, but it's going to be so much fun to work with. And all of these beautiful little balls here. And I think, I haven't checked, I think she used these colors to make the Curious Handmade, one of the knit vent patterns, the Cowl whose name I've forgotten, but I'll put in a picture. I'm pretty sure that's what she used. So I might have to do the same because it's going to look so pretty. And also look at these incredibly adorable stitch markers by Bobbles and Berries, and their little embroidered stitch markers with little sheep. They're the cutest thing ever. So that was really wonderful. Okay, so the last thing I need to say is that I had a giveaway last episode, and I've literally only just now, as I've started filming, remembered that I have a giveaway, which means I haven't actually drawn the winners yet. But I'm going to do that so that I can announce them now. And because the giveaway was for a pattern of your choice on Ravelry, or if you don't use Ravelry somewhere else, that means that I can be indulgent and say we're going to have not one, not two, but let's have 3 winners. And I will put their names up on the screens now, 1, 2, 3. And I will make sure to reply to your comments in the last episode, so that hopefully that gives you a notification. And if you can contact me, probably ideally DM through Instagram, or I also have an email address for this YouTube channel too, which I will put on the screen as well. So you can contact me through that as well. And congratulations, and I hope you can use the pattern to knit something wonderful. Because I have been so busy lately, I have not been able to keep on top of all the comments from that last video. I really try to make an effort to read and respond to all the comments, because I just kind of makes my day as well, but I am not on top of it at the moment. So I will probably start going through them at some stage, maybe between that Christmas New Year period, when I have a bit of, I'm off work and hopefully have a little bit of time to myself. So you might get pings and think, gee, that's a comment from months ago, but that's how it is. But otherwise, that's all that I have to talk about. We've flown through. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope that you are really enjoying the season right now. For those that celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. If you celebrate other holidays, I wish you very happy holidays. Or if you don't, I still just hope you're having a magnificent time. I wish you lots of happy knitting time as well. And I will see you next time in the new year. Okay, take care. Bye.